Hello Palians and welcome back to my channel. If you're currently experimenting with the building blocks in the game, one of the things you might need is some stairs. So I've had a play around with a few different designs and I'm going to show you how to make them today. I hope this helps you out for when it comes to creating some wonderful builds. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but here we go. So for our first stair option, this is probably the easiest one, and for this you're just going to need those small wooden crates and a shelf of your choice. I'll show you a few different varieties that are my favourite, but what you want to do is start off by placing down the wooden blocks and just stagger them. You can do this on the grid mode, or if you want to kind of adjust how deep back the blocks are, you can do that in free placement as well. The first option is the industrial shelves. I think they work nicely because they're nice, open, flat, there's not too much going on. But if you want more of a rustic look, then the log shelves work nicely. And I also do like the ranch ones as well, how they look. And I did try and rotate them as well, but I was on the fence. I wasn't sure which one I preferred more. So yeah, there are some steps. You can go as high as you want or as low as you want. I just think the shelves are a great addition. Number 2 requires the wooden pavers and also a gourmet soup bowl. The gourmet soup bowl can be purchased from Reth's cash register in the inn, and then all you want to do is layer them up. There is no requirement to keep the soup bowl there, so you can just use one soup bowl and keep moving it up and moving it up, stacking the planks on till you get your desired height. If you want to adjust this a little bit, you can also kind of add a bit of a curvature to it. Again, using the same technique, but when you get to the point where you want to curve it, just rotate the plank once and then keep rotating as you go. You can kind of decide how steep you want the rotations as well if you add it straight away, or you can just leave it a gap and then add another one. Sometimes I do struggle with getting the soup bowls out, so I do have a little bit of a trick for that. So if you don't want the soup bowls in there, you can leave it in because it does look like a bit of a grounding point. But the thing that I found best, if you are struggling to get them out, because particularly on the lower ones it is a bit harder to grab, then what you want to do is give your stairs some height. If you pick up your stairs, you can pick them all up in one go. So what I do is I put down a block, grab my stairs, place them on top of the block, and then that gives me easy access to remove the soup bowls. So that just might help you out a little bit. If the wooden planks are a little bit too long for you, then you can also use this technique on the gourmet butcher blocks. I really like them long ways and also the shorter ways. I think that if you have a nice little cozy space and you're trying to get a little bit of height in up to an area, then either one works wonderfully. Again, it's super easy. You just need to keep taking that soup bowl out and putting another one in, and you do get a nice little gap in the middle, and I think it works wonderfully, particularly for those smaller areas where you're trying to get some height. But it would work nicely if you want to go all the way up, maybe to an attic area in your house as well. And I'm sure you're already thinking about this. Will this work with the pavers? And yes, it does. I do just have a little bit of a tip for you. I think that if you're trying to make something a bit more structured, it looks better having the same kind of paver. So when you place down pavers, they do kind of randomize. I decided to go with all of the same kind of one. So what I did was I would place it down. If it wasn't the one that I wanted, I would click out of it to cancel that and then keep rotating through the kind of stack until I found the one I wanted. Likewise with the pavers, you can also stack them on top of one another. So if you just have like a really kind of small little incline that you want to meet, then you don't have to kind of go to the effort of putting things in the middle. You can just stack them on top of one another, which works nicely. If you wanted to, you could add double height and then break it up and have like another double, so it does give it more of a step feel, and you can create height that way, which works nicely. But yeah, the pavers, they do stack nicely as well, if you're wondering. The wood planks though, I think they might be my favorite so far. This next staircase idea will use the actual building blocks. We're going to use the floor pieces, and then you can decide whether you want to use the gourmet butcher blocks or the soup bowls to do this. I will say that the gourmet butcher blocks will give you more freedom to adjust the height as you desire. So all you need to do is put down your floor piece and then put down your butcher's blocks, and then it will allow you to place the next floor piece on top of the butcher blocks or your soup bowls. The butcher blocks are a little bit easier because I feel like you get a bit more space, but then you can just build up and build up and build up. And then if you wanted to, you could decorate around the outside, maybe add some other building blocks around it, maybe add a bit of a fence with some of the pillars, or even just decorate with some flowers. So the next technique uses the ramp and the building blocks. So I have done it this way using the rotation trick on the shelf. So I put down a building block and then I put down another one. But what I wanted it to do was like kind of take up a quarter of the original building block, so there's like a little bit of a staggered effect to it. I'm not sure if this is wholly necessary to do it this way, but actually I found that it worked best for me because a lot of the time I was just struggling to get the placement in, and then once I had this done I could actually take it off the shelf, and then for some reason it just allowed me to kind of snap into the point. I did have to move around a little bit to try and get it to work, and then once I had this I just wanted to go in with my ramp, and because of how this works I can just intersect it into the original base block. This works nicely, and I do think it looks kind of nice if you have two of them together, like make it a main staircase. The ramp is probably optional, but I like the way that it looks because otherwise there's quite a big drop from the first block to the ground. So the ramp I think just adds a little bit something. So the next design is also going to use that rotation trick. So what you need is your shelf. On top of that shelf, you want to put down one of the small blocks, and then you want to rotate the shelf 90 degrees. And then you're going to need a lot of pillars. So what you want to do, this is the easiest way I've found to do it. It does mean that you're using more pillars than you probably actually need, but you can just do this for ease. You can kind of fit them in without all of these, but this is just what I found works easiest. So then you just want to stack them in kind of a stair formation. Make sure that you have one sticking out on the bottom so that will create the staggered effect. And then all you need to do is grab your anchor block off of the shelf, and then it will flip so that it will look like a staircase, and then ta-da. And then you can just go in the back and add another block there just to even it out a bit, but this works really nicely. I do think that it works better for the stone ones because the wooden kind of pillars, they have the little accent pieces on the end of it. Yeah, this is a great staircase, and I did get inspiration for this from seeing a picture in the Discord. So I don't know if this is the technique they used. I'm sure there is other techniques, but this is what I found works best. I'm just going to quickly also talk about the ramps. Obviously these aren't necessarily staircases, but you can definitely use them to make some form of staircase. If you wanted to, you could kind of sink them down in amongst the building blocks and create like a outer kind of shell around them, which would look nice. You can add in different platforms, like give a little bit of a break between your ramps, or you could just have them straight up. They do work great. Maybe these are actually the easiest way to go if you're wanting to create a way to get to a different height area. And the final technique that I found is using the red presents. Now I've left this in last because I know not everyone was able to purchase these red presents during Christmas time. Maybe you didn't play then, or maybe you just didn't buy any, but you can actually use these to stack items, and I've had to play around with a couple of things. For example, you can use the barrels to create like a little staircase. I love the barrels, so this was cute. It's just a little small thing, and you can also use some tables. So I do love this log round coffee table. This is very cute, and it does make some nice stairs. The only downside to using the red presents is the fact that you can't actually kind of float them. You kind of have to hide the red presents, the fact that you've used them. So you could add in flowers, particularly if you're outside, just to kind of conceal them, because they're not the prettiest of things, and they're definitely more Christmassy than they are anything else. But they do work. It is possible to make staircases out of them if you were wondering. So there we have it. There are a few different ways to make stairs in Palia using some of the new items. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments what you're building. Are you going to use some of these staircases? Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.